So, hey, bots people, welcome to the first episode of our podcast. It's all about chatbots and Pete.
Yeah, hey, my name is
Introduce
Pete,
yourself.
and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Swell. And Swelly is a chatbot that helps you decide. You share two photos and you can ask people on things like what should I wear or what should I buy. And over the last 6 months, we grew the bot from 0 to 1.5 million users. So my expertise is in consumer bots and in actually lightweight apps integrated in Messenger, as I'd like to call it. David.
Yeah, my name is David. I'm the co-founder and CTO of Oratio. We are a messaging platform for businesses who want to get in touch with their customers on mobile messengers. We have integrated WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Telegram, Kik and Viber. And we are focusing on an intersection between automated and personal messaging. So we are kind of an intersection between customer care, human agents and bots.
Awesome, alright, and you also did a very, very cool conference that I attended a while ago.
Yeah, we at Oratio we also organized a chatbot conf in Vienna. It was the first of its kind in Europe, also the biggest one in Europe, I guess, so far. Also Pete was there as a speaker. We had a pretty huge lineup with Facebook, Slack, Viber, so all the major messaging networks were there. And it was really a cool conference.
And our friends from Poncho.
And our friends from Poncho.
Yeah, they were also there. Great guys. And so, we are really excited. And this is the first time we're doing it. So we wanted to do a weekly 10 minutes podcast where we talk about trending things. So this is more the introduction version of it. And we're going to share it as a nicely recorded. We have a second camera up here that's going to record it and put it in a nicer quality up there for you to watch later on as well. So why are we doing this?
Why are we doing this? I mean, we're all in the messaging space, we're all in the bot space. For example, in my case, I'm developing bots since 1.5 years. I started Oratio around in November 2015. That's when we launched our first version. And I started to look into chatbots around June 2015 when Telegram opened the platform. I really love Telegram, favorite messaging platform. And since then I put a lot of thoughts and work into bots and how bots should look like or how messaging is used, and that's why I approached Pete and wanted to do this podcast together so that we can share our experience, share our thoughts, and where the bots or the chatbot space is thriving.
Yeah, also I liked it a lot. So the thing is, David is an expert in B2B and also he's a developer. He's a CTO at Oratio. And I'm a sales guy and a marketer, so this is working with consumer. So this is a really cool combination. And if you have any questions, please just ask. We're going to answer it in the next podcast. We're doing it once a week. And so David, tell us something surprising that you saw in the bot space over the last weeks. I
can tell you something surprising over the last couple of months.
Okay.
Especially. All in April at F8 when Messenger launched their bot platform, everyone went crazy about bots since then. But the really interesting thing is that Facebook Messenger is a messenger primarily for the first world, like for the US market, the European market, and this is a space actually or an area where people are not used to use messaging platforms as their primary platform. And if you look into emerging markets like South America, Southeast Asia or Africa, they're really huge in messaging. That's like the primary messaging network. Or their primary access to the internet is messaging.
So they do more messaging than they actually use email, right?
And the funny thing is people start now to educate the US market and the European market, and on the other side of the world, like in emerging markets, the people already know what a chatbot is. They know messaging, they know chatbots, and that's really interesting.
I've also heard that 50% of the US population already used a chatbot at least once.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this statistic.
Yeah, me too. It's hard to believe it. That's what I heard at least.
Yeah, it was in Business Insider, and they made a survey, and 50% said they have used a chatbot once. I'm not sure how many people they asked, which people they asked, or if the people who told them they used the chatbot even know what a chatbot is. But it's hard for me to imagine that 50% of the US citizens have used the chatbot so far.
So I think still it's interesting. I mean, on our case, I mean, we started as a mobile native application for iOS and Android, and we really thought of chatbots as a new way of reaching new users. Basically, we wanted to get a lot of people trying the bot and then converting them to use our mobile native apps. But this didn't work at all. And also we realized that we can grow way faster and get way bigger in the chatbot space. So
you did start the Swell app in last year, right?
No, in March this year. We launched the Swell app. We had another app before, but March 2016.
Oh, and when did you move in the bot space? When did you develop your first bot?
So we launched it mid of August.
Mid of August.
Yeah. So it took us like a couple months to get the 100k users on the app. Basically, almost like 6 months. For the bot, in the first month we had 100k users. In the first 3 months, 1 million. Now we're 1.5, growing like 20k a day, which is exciting for us. And I think it's like for our special use case, which is about I ask a question I want to answer by my friend. We kind of forced people to make their friends like download an app if they wanted to answer, and this makes no sense, right? You would just say, F off if I would say, hey, download an app to vote for me.
Yeah,
but
I think in your case, your use case is perfect for a chatbot because normally if you ask people for opinions, you do it on chat. It's like the natural extension of that is a chatbot where you ask the community. So it's the same platform where you would use or ask your friends. What was the first platform you launched on?
We launched on Kick first, and I think it's a great decision for us because Kick has a perfect audience. 40% of US teenagers use Kick. Kick is very young. Our main demographic also is 13 to 21. And so Kick, we still have by far the best retention data on Kick, even if we have way more users on Facebook Messenger right now.
Yeah, I think it's also a super valuable insight. Even though Facebook Messenger is the largest messaging platform, I think sometimes it doesn't make sense to develop for Facebook Messenger because your target audience is just not there. And I think you experienced the same with Kick. You also launched on Telegram and Facebook Messenger so far.
And Line and Viber.
On Viber, right?
Yeah.
I guess, for example, Telegram is not really your target audience. I don't know about your numbers on Telegram.
So
I guess it's probably not
happy
your target
to share
audience.
that. So out of 1.5 million users, we have around 500 on Telegram. So probably we're doing something wrong here, or it's just not our target audience.
Yeah, really interesting insight about Telegram is also that they have around 20% of the users are from the Middle East.
Wow.
So they're like from Iran, Iraq, and this area.
Cool.
And this is probably not the target audience for Swell.
What is the biggest platform for oratio?
The biggest platform for oratio is currently WhatsApp, of course. We got a lot of interest from South America, especially Brazil and Mexico.
Yeah.
They're crazy about WhatsApp.
Okay.
In general, like all emerging markets, WhatsApp is actually a messenger for emerging markets and for Europe. Okay. And it's pretty huge there. And everyone wants to be on WhatsApp. Everyone wants to use WhatsApp.
Yeah.
For Facebook Messenger, it's businesses. They're already on the Facebook platform, but they're still not made the transition to messaging. So that's mainly the problem in Europe and US. That's companies are slowly transitioning to messaging right now.
We have another problem here. So especially what we experience, I mean, the chatbot retentions are not great, right? We have a way better daily activity on our user base when they use the native app. Why do you think is that, and how can we solve it? Any ideas?
I think right now, I mean, since there's this big hype, I think many people are trying chatbots just for the sake of trying it.
Yeah.
And I also think you always have a better retention at an app because the process to use an app, you have to search for the app, you have to download it, you have to register. So it took like these 3-4 steps before you use the app, and you're really sure about I'm going to use this app. But chatbot is you just try it. That's why you have low retention. This is like, for example, if you go to a website, or if you just like calculate the web sessions of a web page, you probably also have a really bad retention.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, so it's more, you would compare it more with a one-time website user that like a visitor than with an app done.
But with the main benefit that the user is kind of logged in already.
Okay.
So you have like data of the user, you can re-engage them.
Yeah.
So you have way better re-engagement tools than on a typical website.
Very interesting. I wanted to say thank you to David from New Wings, who gave us this fantastic space to do the video.
Hey, David.
Also, thanks to Klaus for placing this fresh cap here. And thanks to Botlist, who are really great guys who helped us a lot to grow. And yeah, that's it. That's a 10-minute episode of this week, and we'll be back next week.
We'll be back next week. If you have any questions you want to be answered from us, just write in the comments, write us a message, whatever you like.
Peace out. Bye.
Peace.